Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom to everybody that's watching us online. Sorry, we took a couple of extra minutes there, but everybody seems real happy to see each other today. So we just started just hanging out and talking and fellowshipping. But we got all afternoon for that. Thank you guys for being here, for being part of LMC. We sincerely appreciate it. Thank you for all your prayers for Brother Max. He's was in the hospital yesterday, emergency room. He still has some things to do, some stuff's going on with his gallbladder, so keep him in prayer. We would appreciate that. But he pushed through last night, and he was part of the Hidden Manna with us. We had a great conversation. If you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you check that out. But today, we're going to talk about, I don't know if we're going to bring it to an end, because this is a subject that just never ends, but it certainly is connected to everything we've been talking about the bride, the harlot, the marriage, what the story is really about. But today's a doozy. And in all sincerity, to do the message that I want to do would probably take about 2.5 hours. Don't worry, I said would take about 2.5 hours. I'm not going to take 2.5. I know that we've got stuff going on this afternoon, so I'm going to try to condense it as much as I can. But it's a real doozy today. I hope today really opens up some eyes. I mean, every time we come, everything in Yah is about opening up your eyes. There's things that we thought we knew, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh my goodness, I really didn't know that. And he opens up your eyes to something else much, much bigger. And I hope today is one of those days for you. The notes are out there. They're in paper form for those who want it. Of course, they're also online for anybody who wants to download it. We're going to open up today in very, very familiar text. We've probably talked about this 5 or 6 times already. Matthew chapter 22. And we're just going to read the last few verses 11 through 13. This, of course, is the wedding parable. And we're reading out of the Scriptures version. And just for everybody, I know, and I'm saying this really for the people online, you're going to hear me say Yeshua, you're going to hear me say Yehusha, you're going to hear me say Yehoshua. I use them all because all across the body, there's all sorts of different people that are using a variation of that name. And I say that so that everybody is at least familiar with what we're doing. And we use words, of course, like Elohim and other things. So if you've been with us for a while, those should be definitions you're clear on. But if it's all brand new to you, just give us some time. You'll catch on with us, and hopefully this will all make sense to you. But Matthew chapter 22, verses 11 through 13, say the following. It says, now the yellow, remember, is PDP, right? That's the Pastor Dave paraphrase. It's not a definition. It's not what the Greek says or the Hebrew. This is just me filling in my thought to help you understand how I'm reading this and hopefully make it make more sense to you. So the PDP here is very important. It says, and PDP, 2 days later, when the king came in to view the guest, he saw there a man who had not put on a wedding garment. And he said to him, friend, how did you come in here not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then the sovereign said to the servants, bind him hand and foot, take him away, and throw him out into outer darkness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For a few moments this morning, the title and the topic of the message is 2 days to wash. 2 days to wash. You guys know the prayer here. If you know it at home, please pray with us. Father, give us eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart that is willing to obey. In the Master's name, amen. Amen. Okay, so before I jump into this, I didn't bring it with me. I should have. I'm sorry, but you guys can check out Wednesday Bible Study. I put out a book that I was hoping everybody could take some time to get from Amazon, or if you want to get it online. It's called the Dead Sea Scrolls. We'll make sure we post it on the website as well, and also on the app, so you guys can check it out. It's available at Amazon. It's about $20 for it. There's a particular one that we're going to be using. Any of one of the Dead Sea Scrolls is fine, but there's a book that we're using. Over the next few weeks, we're going to start getting back into the whole issue of the calendar. And we're going to try to go through that and try to understand it as best we can. And as we go through it, as the argument is made for it, at the end of it, we'll have some time for discussion to talk about it. Once we've gone through it, we can talk about it. But it's going to hopefully, and it's because the fall feast are coming up on us very, very quickly. Can you believe that? The fall feast are like right around, it's not even the end of summer. Well, actually, it is almost the end of summer. But the fall feast are coming, and we just want to make sure that we are doing everything that we can properly before our Yah. So we're going to get into it. I think it's going to be very, very interesting for everybody. You're going to see things you've never seen. And we've kind of already started with the Bible studies. We've started with our morning manners. All the morning manners this week lead up not just to today, but some things that we're going to be talking about with regards to the calendar. And just like it always is, you're going to see the gospel in a very different way. There are so many layers to this thing. We thought we knew it, and the more you read it, the more you realize I didn't know it. It's a bigger story than I thought. So that's upcoming for the next few weeks. Probably takes about 3 or 4 weeks to go through it, and then we'll get together and we'll talk. So, but for this morning, 2 days to wash. 2 days to wash. Now we've been talking about this for weeks now. We've been talking about the bride. We've been talking about the harlot. We've been talking about what the process is that we are actually saved by. There's a mechanism to it. Of course, the mechanism is the Torah. Father, through the Messiah at Mount Sinai, gives us the instruction on not just how to live, which obviously he does, but the entire story, all of the information that we would need to understand what this grand plan is all about. It is written in the scripture. It's in the Torah, it's in the prophets, it's in the Psalms. The entire story is there. You've probably heard me say this 100 different times. I'll say it 100 more times, I'm sure, after this. Biblical history is prophecy. So if we read something in the story of the Torah, the prophets, the Psalms, it's important. It's not just there arbitrarily. It's not just there, even though it may be devotional, it's not just there for devotion. It's there to inform us. It's there to help us understand what is coming. That the last generation, the ultimate generation, Psalm 78, the Aharon generation, would be able to look back at all that has happened and understand the entire story based on all the things that have already happened. And certainly the story of the bride and the harlot and all of that is part of it. And this is really what gets me. Without the Torah, there is no salvation for any of us. Because how does Father, through the Messiah, save us? He allows the husband to suffer the fate that is due the bride. He allows the husband to take on the curse of what most people say, the curse of the Torah. It's the curse of the law. It's the curse of sin that's written in the law. But he takes that upon himself in place of his bride. And even bigger than that, fulfills a Torah law of marriage, that the only way out of a marriage covenant is death. And so the Messiah dies, and then he asks us, we, the bride, who come to him, to also die, to go into the waters of baptism, into the mikvah, and to come up brand new. And we then begin to live for him. Now, obviously, we're still in the same flesh suit that we were in before, but we begin to die to those things. So if he dies, that marriage covenant that bound him to Israel is broken. When we die, the covenant and the lovers we had, our bond to them is broken, and now we are allowed to marry another because it's a brand new man and a brand new woman. And the great thing is we marry the same person all over again. And now it's called the renewed covenant. So that's just review. I know you guys know this. We've talked about this before. And so this has been leading up to weeks to get to where we are today. Now, in our opening verse, of course, is the parable of the wedding feast. And the whole kingdom of God is a father who wants a wedding feast for his son, right? Last week, I think I defined it, gave you all sorts of PDP information in there. But the story basically is he sent out his witnesses to his bride to invite the guests. It's called guest in the parable, but it means the bride. And the bride made up all sorts of excuses, or the guests made up all sorts of excuses. Eventually, they killed the servants that he sent to them, like Isaiah, like John the Baptist. And eventually, he cuts them off. He burns down their city. He sends out his servants, the disciples, the apostles, to go out into the world and invite good and bad to the wedding feast. The bad are the Gentiles who have no concept, no idea whatsoever of what this thing is about. The good are the people of Judah and Ephraim who still do understand, who do love Yah, just haven't heard the whole story yet. And he brings them all in so that the wedding feast is filled. It's the same bride as it was before. It's the same wedding invitation, and yet it's not. And yet it is renewed. And then we open up with what we started today, that the king comes into the wedding feast, and in a wedding feast, you're all supposed to be wearing a certain type of gown, a certain attire. One person is not. And of course, it tells us that one person is kicked out. He's taken out, and wherever he's tossed out to, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, it tells us. Obviously, this is an end times a paraphrase here or reference here. But what I want you to notice is right there in the beginning with the PDP, I said, and 2 days later. 2 days later after what? After the parable says, and he destroyed their city and sent out his servants to the good and the evil. Then comes this verse, and 2 days later, bang, here it is. It's the wedding feast. Keep that in the forefront of your mind. So the bride, the harlot. I want you to think about this. The only real harlot that our Yah is concerned with. Let me back up here. Would Babylon be considered a harlot? I mean, just the country of Nebuchadnezzar, would they be considered a harlot? I don't know, because the harlot or Egypt or Assyria or any of them, I don't know, because the context of the scripture is that when he mentions the harlot is his bride who's not doing what the bride is supposed to do. She is being a harlot to her husband. And I'm not saying that all the other countries weren't harlots in the fact that they had many, many, many different gods. They weren't worshiping the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But he's concerned about this bride, what this bride does. And when she doesn't do what she's supposed to do, she is referred to as a harlot. So, I mean, technically, can there be other nations that are considered harlots? Yes, but it's really about the one who is part of the wedding covenant that isn't doing what the wedding covenant has asked her to do. She's sleeping with other lovers. So, the wedding covenant is made with the house of Israel. Just some review. I know that you guys know this. Jeremiah 2 and chapter 2 and verse 2. It says, "Go, and you shall cry in the hearing of Jerusalem, saying, Thus says Yah, I remember you, the loving commitment of your youth, the love of your bridehood, when you went after me in the wilderness in a land that was not sown." So he's talking to Jerusalem, but that's just a category. When he says Jerusalem, it means Israel. When he says Jerusalem, it means Israel, it means Judah, it means Ephraim. When he says Jerusalem, it means Israel, it means Judah, Ephraim, and everybody grafted in through Ephraim into the thing called Israel. They're all synonymous. When he says Zion, it means Zion, which means Jerusalem, which means Israel, which means Judah, which means Ephraim, which means all the Gentiles grafted in through Ephraim. They're synonymous with each other. And I know he uses different terms at different times, but we need to understand what's actually being said to understand what's actually being said. So he's talking to Jerusalem, but he's talking to the whole house here. He's talking about what happened at Mount Sinai. At Mount Sinai, he says, I remember. Yah is remembering back. I remember the loving commitment of your youth, the love of your bridehood. She was a bride. That was the beginning. The betrothal stage of the wedding is at Mount Sinai. And yet, the bride became a what? Harlot. She started committing adultery right off the bat. I mean, a month and a half later, we read the story of the golden calf. That's harlotry. She broke the wedding covenant, like the day after, in Yah's sense of time. It was like, 10 seconds later, and you're breaking the covenant. And yet, despite that, and continuing to do that over and over and over, despite the master's outstretched hand to her. Jeremiah 31, verse 31 says, "See, the days are coming, declares Yah, when I shall make a renewed covenant." Everybody calls it the new covenant, but the word in Hebrew means renewed. Now, so we say new covenant. So today, in wherever we've come from a religious perspective, people say, well, I'm in the new covenant. Well, that's wonderful. That's awesome. That's great. Do you understand what the new covenant is? I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. The house of Israel being the northern house, the house of Judah being the southern house. Well, if he's renewing the covenant with the southern house, Judah, well, we can identify that. We would call them Jews. But the northern house is Joseph and Ephraim and all the Gentiles grafted into them. So, yeah, it does include us, but who is it made with? The house of Judah and the house of Ephraim, or the house of Israel here. Just another name. He says, "Not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I strengthened their hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt," which he just made reference to in chapter 2. "My covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them." So again, I know you guys know this already. Who is the husband? Messiah is the husband. At Mount Sinai, Messiah was the husband. Who's the bride? The whole house of Israel, now today called Judah and Ephraim, or Judah and Joseph, or Judah and Israel. That is who the bride is, with all those grafted in by faith. So down there on the bottom, the bride or / harlot is Jerusalem, it's Israel, it's Judah, it's Joseph, it's Ephraim, and it's those that were grafted in Mount Sinai day, and certainly today as well. So that whole scene of the bride making her vow to the husband that I'm going to make you kings and priests, a royal nation, if you obey my commandments and you do all that I've asked you to do. And of course, Israel's response to this oath is, we will do all that Yah has asked us to do. One of the songs we just finished singing. And so in that story, the very next thing to happen for the bride is she has to get washed. Now, whatever happens in history, biblical history, is what? Biblical prophecy. Everything that goes on has a meaning later on. And the trick of it, the fun of it really, is to see the meaning. It's have Yah to open up your eye and to see, oh my goodness, he really did talk about this before. And so we're going to fast forward to the bride, not from Mount Sinai, but now that which would be the renewed bride. Here's John, Gospel of, chapter 13, verse 7. This, of course, is the night of Passover. Messiah, as they're getting ready to eat the Passover, takes a towel, wraps it around himself, takes a water basin, and he begins to wash the disciples' feet. Of course, Peter gets all flustered with that because that's not really what somebody who would be called master would do. That's really something more a slave would do, a servant would do. You walk into somebody's house and you have somebody wash your feet. Of course, we don't do that today. But I guess maybe today you'd say if you walk into somebody's house and you say, oh, would you please take off your shoes and put on a pair of slippers? Kind of the same, in the same line, right? So here's Messiah and he's washing their feet. He's doing the job of a servant. Peter's not happy with this, and it says, he says, I don't want you to do this to me. Messiah answered and said to him, you do not know what I am doing now, but you shall know after this. Peter didn't understand. The disciples didn't understand what was going on here. What he was doing was reenacting what happened under Mount Sinai, because Bible history is Bible prophecy. So he's reenacting something here. And he says, Kepha, meaning Peter, said to him, by no means shall you wash my feet ever, because he thinks it's below. It's something a servant does. And listen to the words that the master says. Yahusha answered him, if I do not wash you, you have no part in me. And then, of course, he goes on to it. Peter, you know how the old saying is, everybody says, if a little is good, then what's better? A lot. That's not always true, right? Just because a little of something is good doesn't mean a lot of something is good. A little garlic is good. A lot of garlic, it ain't good. Well, it may be good for vampires, but it ain't good for people. A little, just because it's a little, doesn't mean that you need more. So Peter says, okay, don't just wash my feet, that's little. Take the whole thing and dump it over my head. Now, first of all, that's foot water. I mean, think about that for a second. Do you really want a whole thing that 12 other guys have had their feet in dumped over you? I think he's just being rhetorical here, but whatever it is. And the master tells him, no, you're already clean. You've already been bathed. But what you need to be is washed. There's a difference between bathing and washing. All right, so there it is. Just that little story. This is important. We see the same topic because biblical history is biblical prophecy picked up in the book of Ephesians, chapter 5. We talked about this last week with husbands and wives, husbands love your wives, and et cetera, et cetera. Verse 25 says, husbands, love your wives, as Messiah also did, loved the assembly, and gave himself for it. Okay, we know what that means now, if you listen to last week's message. In order to set it apart and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word. So he's got the bride already. He's already bathed the bride. The bride's already come. But now he has to do what? Or she has to do what? Get washed. She has to get washed. And she gets washed. At least we get a little bit more information here. What's the process of being washed? The word. The instruction. That becomes the washing process that goes on. Obviously with Yah's Spirit, but that's the washing process that goes on in us. Why? Why do all of this? To cleanse it and wash it with the washing of the water by the word in order to present her to himself a splendid assembly, not having spot or wrinkle or any of this sort, but that she might be set apart and blameless. When the day comes for the husband to greet his bride, does he want her, does he not want her washed and cleaned up? Well, of course he does, as he should be as well. Bathed and washed up, ready so that the wedding can go on from that point. So I'm only throwing this out there so you see there's continuity in thought here. There's a washing that goes on at Sinai. We'll get to that in a second. But that's history to us. This is also history to us, but this is the fulfillment of what already went on. And there still needs to be a washing for the bride. Here's the book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and verse 21. It says, in having a high priest over the house of Elohim, Elohim just means God. It's a reference to Father and Son, but it means God. Let us draw near with a true heart in completeness of belief or faith, having our hearts sprinkled from a wicked conscience and our bodies washed with clean water. This is a reference to Mount Sinai. And obviously a reference now to the upper room. And a reference to Hebrews 5. Can you see that this is being mentioned over and over and over? The bride needs to wash. Here is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 16. Son of man, make known to Jerusalem her abomination. So right off the bat, this is not sounding very good, right? So we're talking about the bride. But now we're talking about the bride that has done what? Abominations. That word is going to be so big in the future. The bride commits abominations. So I'm skipping some verses. You guys can go back and read all of it. I'm going down to verse 8. This is the whole record of Yah picking the house of Israel when she was first birthed, first there. Verse 8, he says, again, I passed by you and I looked upon you and saw that your time of that was your time was the time of carnal love. And I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness. Everybody remember the story of Ruth and Boaz? They're laying there in the field, and he takes his tzitzit and he covers her. That's a very intimate thing to do. The husband becomes a covering for his wife. That whole concept. That's what he's saying here. That's what this is a reference to. So this is just giving us Exodus chapter 19 all over again. He's talking about the time when I met you and I brought you to Sinai, and I put my huppah, I put my covering, the thick cloud, I put it over you. And it was the time of love, and you were coming to be my bride. He says, I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness, and I swore an oath to you, and I entered into, PDP there, a marriage covenant. This is a marriage covenant. I entered into a marriage covenant with you, and you became mine, declares the Master Yah. And here it is, and I washed you in water, and I washed off your blood, and I anointed you with oil. Can you see the consistency all the way through the book? What happens to the bride? Yes, she's bathed. She's already gone through Mount Sinai, right? Israel left, not Mount Sinai. Israel left Egypt. She already went through the Red Sea. She was bathed. Now she gets to Mount Sinai, but she still needs to be washed. You already bathed by the word I spoke to you, but you need to be washed. Well, God, pour the whole thing over my body. No, you don't understand. If I don't wash you, you have no part in me. So back up a second. How important is washing? Vital. Because if you don't, and this is what's going to wind up happening, if you don't wash, eventually what's going to happen is you'll become a harlot. You'll stop being separate. You'll stop pursuing, and then you're going to start looking for other lovers. How do we know this? Bible history is Bible prophecy. And that's exactly what wound up happening. So he says, and I washed off your blood, and I anointed you with oil. So, when we read the account, which we're going to take a look at in just a second, it says that Israel said under the mountain, all that Yah has said we will do. Fine. Moses, tell the people to wash today and tomorrow, which is how many days? 2 days. And on the third day, as the third day is dawning, I'm coming down the mountain and I'm going to meet you. So how many days does the bride, if Bible history is biblical prophecy, how much time is coming? If this is a prophecy, what is it telling us? There's going to come a time when the bride will have how long to get washed? 2 days. And at the end of those 2 days, what's going to happen? He's coming down from the mountain in a thick, dark cloud. This is prophecy. So we say 2 days, and I know we've talked about this before, and there's all sorts of great studies out there you could do, but just to put it very, 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 very simply, from the time of the fall of Adam to the time of the birth of Abraham is 2,000 years. From the time of the birth of Abraham to the time of the death of Messiah is 2,000 years. Real simple math. You don't need algebra here. You don't need trigonometry here. All you need is fingers, and you don't even need toes. You don't even need toes. You've got 2,000 years plus 2,000 years. Messiah dies. It's now been almost how long since Messiah has died? 2,000 years. In multiple places, Psalms, Peter tells us, a day to Yah is as what? How many days until Messiah died? 4. 4 days. Messiah died at the end of the fourth day. Real simple math. 2 plus 2 equals, you're Bible scholars. Look at that. Look at that. You're fulfilling prophecy. Why is this important? Because he instituted in the beginning, you are to work for how many days? And on you rest. And he institutes that by his own doing of it. That is Yah. Do you think that Messiah, as the creator, needed to rest on the seventh? Do you think he was tired? He's like, oh man, this is really tough. I made fish, I made whales, I made trees. Humanity's killing me. I need a break. No, that's not the story. He does it to set a precedent for us because biblical history is prophecy. And then he institutes this in so many other ways afterward, just telling us the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. So how important is the seventh day? Vital. Which tells us that this work that's going on, that he's doing with man, is going to last how long? 6 days. And on the seventh, what's happening, or what's going to happen? A Shabbat. A rest is coming, which is a cool thing, right? It's how you get to the rest. That's an interesting story. So 4 days passed to the death of Messiah. 2 days under the mountain, and he comes. This is prophecy. And so she has to bathe. Or Israel bathes itself, and of course they wash their clothes. I want to show you that this is given to us. Just like the whole idea of the seventh day, it's given to us everywhere. As soon as they get out of Egypt, what's one of the first things? Exodus chapter 16, I think. One of the first things Yah installs back into his people, because they did it before this, but they lost it in Egypt. What's one of the first things Yah says? Okay, go out and get bread, get the manna that falls for how many days? 6 days. And on the seventh day, rest. And then when you celebrate Shavuot, count how many weeks of 7 days? 7 weeks of 7 days. That's 49 years. And then when Jubilee comes around, count 7 weeks of years. 49. He just keeps telling us 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Guess what he's trying to get across to us? 7. And what have we done today in our modern age? Oh, we said, oh, no, day number 1. No. You're missing the point. The point is 7. And this idea of a 2-day gap before the bride meets or the bride goes home, it's everywhere. It's all over the place. Here's a couple of places. Number 5 on your notes. This is Genesis chapter 31, verse 41. We've been going over this on Wednesday nights. We've been talking about the conflict, Jacob and Esau. Jacob and Esau are the sons of light and the sons of darkness. Esau I hated, Jacob I loved. Esau is a son of the wicked one. Jacob is a son of righteousness. Esau is a man of the field. Jacob's a man of letters, a man of reading, a man of understanding the Torah. In this life, when it comes to the end and Mashiach comes, all humanity is going to be broken up into 2 groups. You are either going to be called Esau or you're going to be called Jacob. You're going to be called tares or you're going to be called wheat. You're going to be called goats or you're going to be called sheep. It's everywhere. So Esau sells his birthright. He should have been the firstborn. He was the firstborn. He should have received the birthright. Jacob gets it. Esau is not very happy. He wants to kill his brother. His brother leaves. Jacob leaves to go get a bride. And how long is he gone? He works for Laban, his uncle, who's a real schmo. He just treats him horribly. He works for Laban for 20 years. You say, yeah, but that's not two. Oh, yes, it is. It's two tens. 110, two tens equal, real simple math. Now you need fingers and toes here. 110, two tens, it's 20. This is a prophet. So after 20 years, who returns back to the land? The whole house of Jacob, but it's split in two. He has to split up his wives because he's afraid of Esau. So he splits them up into the house of Judah and the house of Ephraim as he makes his way back to the land. Bible history is Bible prophecy. And again, how long till he returns? 20 years or 2 days. Look with me, Exodus chapter 19. This is where we started this whole story. Exodus chapter 19, verse 9. It says, and Yah said to Moses, see, I am coming to you in a thick cloud. Now, I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. We're going to talk about this again and again and again, that he came to them in a thick cloud. And let me just tell you, go ahead, read Luke and Matthew. It says, how many times does it say, in the end, the Messiah is coming back with a thick cloud. This same story is going to be retold over in a much, much bigger way. Why? Because Bible history is Bible prophecy. See, I am coming to you in a thick cloud so that the people hear when I speak with you and believe you forever. And Moses reported the words of the people to Yah. And Yah said to Moses, go to the people and set them apart today and tomorrow, which is 2 days. And what are they supposed to do in the 2 days? Wash their garments. The wedding feast, everybody's got a wedding garment on except one guy. And what happens to him? He's thrown out into outer darkness where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. And they shall wash their garments and shall be prepared by the third day. They've got to be ready on the third day. Because on the third day, Yah shall come down upon Mount Sinai before the eyes of all the people. If Bible history is prophecy, guess what's coming? 2 days of washing, and be ready on the third day because he's coming in thick clouds. Bible history is Bible prophecy. Here's John chapter 14. So again, the 2 days. Here's John chapter 4, verse 17. We've talked about this before, but it's the story of the woman at the well, a Samaritan woman. So Passover happens. The Gospel of John opens up. Messiah is there for Passover. He has to leave because the Pharisees they're going crazy over him and what John's doing. We'll talk more about that when we get into the whole calendar thing as to why they're going crazy. He has to leave and he decides to go through Samaria to go back up to Galilee. He's in Judah, Jerusalem, which is the capital of Judah, but now he walks through Samaria, which is the ancient home of who? Ephraim, the northern house. And there's still descendants there. They're mixed with other Gentiles that come in, but they're still there. And they still believe in Messiah. And who does he meet in the northern house? A harlot. Not a woman who's had one husband, or two, or three, or four, or five. She's working on number 6. So it says, the woman, so he tells her, go get your husband. Back up. What does he offer her, or what does he want from her? What? He's meeting a woman. He's talking about a bride. He's talking about harlotry. And what does he want? Water. And then he offers her water. He says, go get your husband. The woman said, I have no husband. The Messiah said to her, "You have well said, I have no husband. For you have had 5 husbands, you're a harlot, and the one whom you now have is not your husband." She's a harlot. Yeah, amen, brother. "What you have said is true." The woman said to him, "I know that Messiah is coming." Wait. What does she know? Does she believe? Does she consider herself amongst the house that believes? She does. Absolutely she does. Does that mean she's right in everything? No, but she believes. "I know that Messiah is coming, the one who is called the Anointed. When that one comes, he shall announce to us all." Messiah said to her, so hold on a second. He just left where? Jerusalem. Did he tell anybody in Jerusalem who he was? Nope. I mean, John says, "Behold the Lamb of Elohim." All right, that does say it, but that's not him saying, "It's me." He didn't say that. How many times throughout the gospel, when he's in Judea or in what is proper Israel, that if somebody even says he's Messiah, he tells them, no, keep that quiet. Not that anybody kept it quiet, and you wouldn't have either. Yeah, come on. You got leprosy or some sickness, and he heals you, and he tells you, "Listen, I want you to walk away. I don't want you to say anything about it." What are you going to do 2 minutes after he's gone? You're going to shout it out to everybody. You're going to tell everybody. You're going to just, "Oh, he healed me." And that's, of course, that's what they did. That's what they did. But she says, when the Messiah comes, he shall announce it to us all. The master said to her, "I who am speaking with you am he." If Bible history is Bible prophecy, what is this telling us? Jerusalem's not going to get this before the northern house does. The woman with lots of husbands is going to be plainly told who he is and believe. And believe. "I am speaking with you, am he." I'm skipping to verse 39. You could read the whole account. So he tells her, she goes and she tells other people, other Samaritans come, and to listen to, not just because of her testimony, but because of the words that the master says. So if Bible history is Bible prophecy, and he's now speaking to the harlot of the northern kingdom, because there's that, it starts off with one harlot, that's Israel, the whole nation, but when she's split into 2 women, how many harlots are there? 2. And the harlot in Judah is not getting it, but the harlot up north, where the Gentiles are grafted into it, they're getting it. If Bible history is Bible prophecy, how long does the Messiah stay with the harlot of the north, teaching her who he is? And many of the Samaritans of that city believed in him because of the words of the woman had witnessed. And he told me that all that I have done. Therefore, the Samaritans came to him. They were asking him to stay with them, and he stayed there 2 days. How long has the northern house, scattered all over the world, had the testimony of Messiah? 2,000 years. 2 days. And what are we supposed to be doing in those 2 days? Washing. Getting washed up. Washing our bodies, washing our clothes, letting him wash us so that we are a bride prepared for the 3rd day. Because the 3rd day, he's coming. Here is number 6 on your notes. This is the book of Hosea. Chapter 5 going into chapter 6. And remember, the book of Hosea is the northern house getting scattered because of all of her harlotry. Okay, we've gone over that quite a few times. We got that. But he also, in the book, talks about the harlotry of Judah and the harlotry of Ephraim. Remember the son Jezreel, the son of Laomi, or all the different children that Hosea has that speak of the northern house being scattered. I'm not your God. You're not my people. I'm not going to have compassion on you. That happens to the northern house. And who depicts that? The woman at the well. The woman at the well depicts that. So that's the northern house. But the southern kingdom is just as rotten. In fact, we're going to find out the southern kingdom does even worse than does the northern kingdom. So here's Yah's description of both the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom and what he's going to do to them because they're both harlots. He says, "For I am like a lion to Ephraim, like a young lion to the house of Judah." So what does that mean? He's like a lion. Oh yeah, he's the lion of the tribe of Judah. Okay, yes, that's good. You can make that argument. That's not what he's saying. If you're walking down a road and you just happen to stumble upon a young lion, what's going to happen to you? You are lunch. You're lunch. It will pounce on you and kill you. And here Yah's saying, I'm a young lion to the house of Ephraim for all they've done, and the house of Judah. Bad stuff is coming to both of them because they've been harlots continually without repenting. He goes on to say, I'm a young lion to the house of Judah. I myself tear them. And then I go. Oh, wait a minute. He's given us a specific time frame here. I'm going to tear them both, and then I'm going to go. Which means if he tears them both, he first has to come in order to go. I shall go. I shall return to my place. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound familiar? John chapter 14, I go to prepare a place for you in my Father's house. It's good for you that I go. If I go, I'm gonna come back and bring you to. That's what this is talking about. We know it in the New Testament, but here it is in the book of Hosea. So he says, I will take them away. There's no one who will deliver them. I shall go. I shall return to my place until they confess their guilt and seek my face in their distress, diligently search for me and say. So he's going to go, leaving both houses in distress, like a lion that pounced on them. And they're not going to see him again until when? Until they say, come and let us turn back to Yah. For he has torn, but he does heal us. He has stricken, but he binds us. After 2 days, he shall revive us, wake us up, open our eyes, give us understanding. All of a sudden, the story starts to make sense to the Acharon generation. The parables laid out in front of us. We can put the whole story together now. He revives us after 2 days, but on the third day, he shall raise us up. Oh, did you hear what he just said? On the third day, he raises us up so that we live before him. And you see it again and again and again from the time he leaves after tearing both houses. 2 days. 2 days. And on the 2 days to prepare, on the third day, he comes. Here's the words of the master, so you can see the comparison here. It's color-coded up there. So for those that are watching online, what's in pink there is what Messiah is saying here in Matthew chapter 23. So he says, I go to return to my place until they confess their guilt and seek my face and in their distress, diligently search for me and say, come and let us turn back to Yah. Messiah says, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, killing the prophets and stoning those who were sent to her. Very, very important. Keep that in the back of your mind. How often I wish to gather your children together the way a hen gathers her chickens under her wings. But you would not. See, your house is left laid to you waste or desolate. For I say to you, from now on, you shall by no means see me. How many days will pass? 2 days. 2 days. Until you say, blessed is he who is coming in the name of Yah. Can you see how these all connect? How Bible history is indeed Bible prophecy. And it just keeps recurring. 2 days, guys. 2 days of this. But he had to tear them because the bride, the one at Mount Sinai, just continued with her adultery. So he has to come and renew the covenant. And after the renewing of the covenant, the bride now has 2 days. If he comes on the end of the 4th day, he's coming back when? At the end of or the beginning of the 7th day. Where are we right now? We're at the end of the 6th day. Now, there's all sorts of different scholars and stuff out there. They've got the date of 27 AD for the death and resurrection, 29 AD, 32 AD, 33 AD. Most seem to agree on April the 5th, 30 AD, but whatever. Those are all close dates. I don't care if it's 3, 4, 5. Yeah, those are close dates. And that doesn't mean he's actually coming on that day, but it does mean it's going to begin real soon. Now, all of a sudden, this isn't about religion. This isn't about come to church, sit down, and hear a feel-good message, and just, sort of be encouraged for the day and think I'm going to prosper, and all that my hands touch, I'm just going to get money, money, money. Money cometh forth. No, none of that. This just got real. This just got real. Because if Bible history is prophecy, the time of washing is almost over. And what's he doing to us right now? Reviving us. Did you ever just feel really dirty and nasty? You're outside and you're doing the lawn or you're gardening or you went to work all day long and you got the smell and the grime of just all day working. And of course, being a good human being to do right by your spouse, you jump in the shower. What happens to you when you get out of the shower? You're revived. You're awake. You ever take a cold bath? I mean, like in ice? Karen and I were doing the whole workout thing. I did ice baths a couple of times. But I did it. I got out of the ice bath, and my eyes were this big. My heart's pumping 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it lasted for like 3 hours. I was revived. He revives us at the end of the 2nd day. We are learning and understanding more now than in the last 17, 1800 years, since the days of the apostles. We are learning more now. We are understanding more now. You are living prophecy right now. Right now. For he has torn us, he will heal us, he has bound us up, and after 2 days he shall revive us. Oh my goodness, it's happening. But the reason that the 2 days begins is because the bride prior to committed adultery. Here's Exodus chapter 23. Did I read Exodus 16? No, I didn't. Exodus 16, number 7 on your notes. Exodus 16, verse 2. We read a part of this, but here's the whole thing. And I tried to cut it down. Read the whole chapter yourself, but here's the gist of it. What's that? Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 2. You can read the whole chapter. I've cut it up a little bit. But listen to what we've got. Son of man, meaning Ezekiel, make known to Jerusalem her abomination. So if we say Jerusalem, we mean the northern house, we mean the southern house, we mean the grafted, it means all of them. Make known to her abominations. Again, I passed by and I looked at you and I saw that it was your time of carnal love. I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness. And I swore an oath to you and entered into a marriage covenant at Mount Sinai with you. And you became mine, declares the Master. And I washed you in water and I washed off your blood and I anointed you with oil. I dressed you in embroidered work and gave you sandals of leather. And I wrapped you in fine linen and covered you with silk. Verse 14. And your name went out among the nations because of your loveliness, for it was perfect by my splendor which I had put on you, declares the Master. But you trusted in your own loveliness, and you whored because of your name. And you poured out your whorings on everyone passing by who would have it. And you took some of your garments and made multicolored. The multicolors he's talking about is scarlet and red. Why scarlet and red? Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be white like wool. What is scarlet and red symbolic of? Sin. Sin. So this harlot, who was this beautiful wife, has now taken on the colors of a harlot. Or now she is a harlot, taken on the colors of sin. In the high places for yourself, and you whored on them, which should not have come about, nor shall it be. And you took your splendid adornments of my gold and my silver that I gave to you, and you made for yourself images of a male, and you whored with them. Everybody understand what he's talking about, right? This is rough stuff. Verse 20. And you took your sons and your daughters whom you bore to me, and these you slaughtered as food. You killed your babies. Oh my goodness, another message, another thing. Were your whorings a small matter, that you have slain my children and gave them up by causing them to pass through the fire? And in all your abominations and whorings, did you not remember the days of your youth when you were naked and bare, trampled down in your blood? Then it came to be after all your evil. And what does he say to the harlot? This is important. Underline this. What does he say to the harlot? Woe! Woe to you, declares the Master. This harlot becomes two, the northern house and the southern house. Number 8, Ezekiel chapter 23. And the word of Yah came to me saying, Son of man, there were two women, Judah and Ephraim, daughters of one mother, Jerusalem, Israel at Mount Sinai. And they, Israel, the northern house, the whole house, they whored in Egypt. They whored in their youth. There their breasts were handled, and there their maiden nipples were squeezed. And their names were Ohala, the northern kingdom, Joseph, Ephraim, the elder, and Oholibah, Judah, the southern sister. And they were mine. And they bore sons and daughters, all the children. And their names are, these are the capital of the northern kingdom, Samaria is Ohala, and Jerusalem is Oholibah. Messiah comes and leaves Jerusalem in the beginning of John and goes to where? Samaria. He went from Oholibah to Ohala to give them both the message. And they were both harlots. Where was I? Slaying your children, all your abominations, woe to you. Next one, verse 11. Verse 4. And their names were Ohala and Oholibah, her sister, and they were mine, and they bore sons and daughters, and their names are Samaria and Jerusalem. Verse 5. And Ohala whored while she was mine. She lusted for her lovers, the neighboring Assyrians, dressed in purple. So the northern house becomes the harlot of Assyria. The northern house is the Assyrian harlot. Verse 17. Now he's talking about Judah. And the sons of Babel, or Babylon, the Chaldeans, and the sons of Babel came to her into the bed of carnal love, that is Judah, and they defiled her with their whorings, and she was defiled by them, and her being turned from them in disgust, and she uncovered her whorings and uncovered her nakedness. Then I turned my being from her in disgust, as my being had turned from her sister in disgust. If the northern house is the harlot of Assyria, who is the southern house the harlot of? Babylon. She's the harlot of Babylon. It's going to change all sorts of things, all sorts of ideas. This is telling us who the two harlots are. And then it goes on to tell us the judgment that is coming to Judah. Because our harlotry's worse. She didn't leave it. She left Babylon, but Babylon did not leave her. Ezekiel chapter 23. He says, and the word of Yah came to me saying, Son of man, there were two women. I'm reading this, two women, daughters of one mother. I just read all of that. Number 9. And I'm sorry, guys, for whoever's watching, I didn't put the picture up there, but you guys can see it. Obviously, that's a picture of a woman wearing scarlet and red who is attached to the beasts, the nations. And she has a really, really big cup in her hand. Still on number 8 on your notes. And the word of Yah came to me saying, Son of man, there were two women, daughters of one mother, and they, Israel, whored in Egypt. They whored in their youth. Their breasts were handled. We read all of this. Verse 11, her sister Oholibah saw this. She became more corrupt and lust than she, and in her whorings more corrupt than her sister's whorings, meaning Judah was more corrupt than Ephraim. Verse 17, then the sons of Babel came to her. Then she became the harlot of Babylon. Number 9 on your notes. Verse 29. And they, now the PDP version, the they he's speaking of are the nations. This is the judgment that will come on Judah. And they, the nations, and they shall deal with you in hatred. And they shall take away all that you have worked for. When? PDP, at the end of the second day. And they shall leave you naked and bare, and the nakedness of your whoring shall be uncovered, and the wickedness of your whorings. I do this because of your whoring after the nations. This is Judah. Because you have been defiled by their idols. You have walked in the way of your sister, and I shall give her cup into your hand. Thus says the Master Yah, drink of the sister's cup deep and wide. In other words, she's getting a double portion in a cup of wrath that Ephraim did. You being laughed at and mocked at, for it holds much. Be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, a cup of astonishment and ruin, a cup of disaster of your sister Samaria. And you shall drink it and shall drain it and gnaw at its shards and tear at your own breast. For I have spoken, declares the Master Yah. Therefore, thus says the Master, because you have forgotten me and cast me behind your back, therefore you shall bear the wickedness of your whorings. He's talking to Judah. Judah has been in the land for 70 years, a little over 70 years. Now, I know people say, well, some of them are not real Jews, they're European. Come on. Even if there are Ashkenazi that cannot trace themselves, 70% of the people that are in Israel that are Jews are from the Middle East. They are the people. When they came back to the land, did they come back in faith? Did they come back in righteousness? Did they come back and establish the Torah as the law of the land? If they did, that would have been great. Did they come back and remove the abomination that's standing on the Temple Mount today? Nope. Did they come back and follow a theocracy that is what the actual Torah says as the word of Elohim? Or did they model themselves after the beasts? Democracy. A Knesset. Just like the Western world. Did they become the light of the world, or did they become the number one place for gay parade in the world? They did not come back in righteousness. And every time in the past that Yah has given Judah a chance to get their act together and they came back in unrighteousness, what did he do? He sent the nations in and they wiped her out. And now we're 2 days later. Judah's in the land. She's not righteous. Do they love the Mashiach? Well, they have a concept of Mashiach, but it's not the Mashiach we understand. It's not. Judaism's concept of Messiah is not what you and I understand. Matthew chapter 23. The Messiah is speaking to the harlot that was engaged and became a harlot. But she's more than that. The people who were in charge took what they got from Babylon and they brought it back. Look at what the master says to the Pharisees who are in charge, running Jerusalem, both in the temple and in the Sanhedrin. First of all, there is no law in the Torah that says the Sanhedrin is in charge. They're not. The priests are supposed to be in charge. There is nothing that says Pharisees are supposed to be in charge. They're not. The master said, they are not the planting of my Father. And every plant that my Father did not plant will be uprooted. And yet the whole nation followed them then. And today we don't call them Pharisees, we call them rabbis. We call them conservative, orthodox, ultra-orthodox. They're still Pharisees. The same belief system is there. And what did the master say about it? Remember these words. Chapter 23, Matthew verse 13. But woe to you. Wait, I heard that somewhere. I know I saw that somewhere. I'm pretty good at that game where you put all the things there and you got to pick one. You got to find out where. I'm pretty good at that game. You remember Sesame Street? 3 of these things belong together. 3 of these things kind of the same. 1 of these things don't look like the other. Now it's time to play our game. That don't look like the other. There's something going on here. He's using the same terminology for them as when they whored in Babylon. Same terminology. And who is he directing it at? Scribes and Pharisees. You're hypocrites. Verse 24, you're blind guides, straining out a gnat and swallowing a camel. The religion you have created, that's how he describes it. Guys, this is the voice of Mount Sinai saying this. So you too outwardly indeed appear righteous to men, but inside you're filled with hypocrisy and lawlessness. Verse 30. And you say, if we had lived in the days of our fathers, we would not have taken part with them in the blood of the prophets. What is he referring to? What fathers? The Pharisees' fathers. What did they do? They were part of the killing off of the priesthood in the temple. And you fill up the measure of your fathers. He calls them serpents. Who's the serpent? Hasatan is the serpent. Brood of adders, vipers, how shall you escape the judgment of Gehenna? Because of this, I will send you prophets and wise men and scholars of scripture. Some of them, you, the Pharisees, you in the synagogues, you in the Sanhedrin. You shall flog them in your congregations. You shall kill them and impale them. Some of them you'll flog in your congregations and persecute from city to city. So that on you, Jerusalem, the Pharisees, should come all of the righteous blood shed on the earth. Wait, what's going to come on them? All of the righteous blood shed on earth. He's speaking to Pharisees who have brought Babylon into Jerusalem. Remember these words. Here's Revelation chapter, it's not chapter 2, it's Revelation chapter 18. At the end of 2 days, and he cried with a mighty voice, saying, Babel the great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a haunt for every unclean spirit, a haunt for every unclean and hated bird, because all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her whoring. Now, there's really good brethren out there, because we're talking about Mystery Babylon here. There's really good brethren out there that think he's talking about America. And America, no doubt, we're harlots. We're harloting ourselves all over the place. I can't remember the guy's name. He just did a really, really neat teaching on Zach Bauer just did a really, really neat teaching, and he's putting forth the idea that, well, the harlot is Italy, it's Rome. Rome's no doubt is a harlot. No doubt it's a harlot. But I don't think that it's really speaking about either. And we can disagree. Good brethren can disagree. That's fine. We can disagree. I got no problem with that. But I think if you look at the entire story of Bible history, is Bible prophecy. I think the harlot that he's speaking about here is Israel today, is Judah, who is not righteous, and yet who is trying to establish a temple and just finished offering the red heifer. It was a practice run, but they just finished offering the red heifer. They are at war with everybody around them, and whether you agree with me or not, as far as I see it, they are trying to exterminate the people of Gaza. And they just voted just a couple of days ago, they just up and voted that the West Bank belongs to them. The land has been divided. A long time ago, the nations divided up the land. What's there in the land that's called Israel is not the Israel that was promised to Abraham, nor the Israel that belonged to David. It's just a small little portion of it. And if she does build a temple, or if she does just build an altar, and she offers up sacrifices, and those priests are not Zadok priests, what is that offering? An abomination. An abomination. Now, all of a sudden, the story really starts to turn, because we were told one thing in the sort of Christendom world, and now all of a sudden, as we get closer, things become a little bit more clear. And it says of this woman, and I heard a voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people. His people are in her. Lest you share of her sins, unless you receive of her plagues, because her sins have piled up to reach heaven, and Elohim has remembered her unrighteousness." All the way back from Ezekiel, all the way back from Egypt. "Render to her as she indeed rendered, and repay her double according to her works. In the cup she has mix for her double." Well, where'd you just finish reading that? Ezekiel. She's going to bear a double portion of what the northern house bore. "As much as she esteemed herself and lived riotously, so much torture and grief give to her, because in her heart she says, I sit as a queen, and I am not a widow." Hold on. How does Messiah save us? The husband comes and dies, which makes us all what? Widows. And then we what? Die. And we remarry him. This harlot says, my husband's not dead. I sit as a queen. I'm not part of that. Well, if her husband hasn't died, she's still tied to being a harlot, and she is. As much as she esteemed and lived riotless and tortured with grief to her, because in her heart she says, I sit as a queen, I'm not a widow, I do not see mourning at all. I'm not going to cry for the one they say that died and rose again. Means nothing. Verse 16, and this is what they say to the great city. Woe! Woe! Again, we've heard this already. Couple of times now. The great city that was dressed in fine linen and purple and scarlet. Those are the colors of a harlot. And what does it say about her? Verse 24, which comes right out of Matthew 23. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and the set apart ones and of all who were slain on the earth. Matthew 23, verse 35, so on you, Jerusalem, the Pharisees, shall come all the righteous blood shed on the earth. And we don't have time to go through more of this. There's much, much more that I could say about it. But beloved, here's what it comes down to. The second day is almost over. Judah is back in the land, but she's not righteous. She's opposed, vehemently opposed. Listen, people are going to listen to this message, and I'm going to get all sorts of anti-Semitism stuff because you can't say anything. This isn't being anti-Semitic. I want Judah to be saved. I want Judah to understand. I want Judah's, and many in Judah, their eyes are opening because he's reviving us. But it's not going to be everybody. And bad things are coming. Really, really bad things are coming before the husband comes back down that mountain. But it's been 2 days. It's been 2 days. It's been 2 days, and I feel fresh. Yes, I feel hungry too. But I feel revived. I feel kind of energized. I feel kind of excited. I feel kind of like I just got out of the shower. I'm feeling a little bit refreshed. I've got open eyes now. I can see all sorts of things now. On the second day, he revives us. And on the third day, he lifts us up to be with him. That is Yah's word for you for this morning. 2 days to wash. 2 days to wash. So much more. I know you might have a gazillion questions, so much more. We're going to get into the book of Revelation. I've been wanting to do it for a while and get into all this stuff, but we got the calendar and all sorts of other things, so I'm trying to do it piece by piece. But we're going to get more and more into this. But we're watching it happen right in front of us. Think about it. Has the whole world turned against Jerusalem, turned against Israel? The whole world. The nations have turned against her. Exactly what it says. And if she builds an altar on that Temple Mount now, what do you think all the Islamic nations that are around her are going to do? Gog, Magog, war. Armageddon. It's right in front of us. It's in the news. It's happening daily. We're watching it. We should all be looking up, saying, man, our redemption's coming. It's coming. Yah, we love you. We thank you for your word. We thank you for this wonderful story. We thank you for the forgiveness as a bride that has turned away from you, how you can restore us back to you. We lift up Judah to you, and we pray earnestly for our brother Judah, that you would open their eyes, as you are with so many. Open their eyes to see you, to understand. Open up Ephraim's eyes to see you, to understand. Open up the nation's eyes as we are grafted into your body. Yah, revive us. Revive us. You tore us. You left. and you will revive us at the end of the second day. And on the third day, we will live in your presence. This is our hope. In the name of the one who died and rose again, our husband, we say amen. Amen. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I sincerely appreciate it. Have an awesome rest of the day. Download the notes, listen to it again. Give us a thumbs up if you like this. Send this out to somebody who you think might need to hear this. Join us on Monday for our morning manna and all the other stuff that's going on. In the meantime, guys, have an awesome day. Say it with me, everybody, nice and loud. Shabbat! Shabbat! Peace, everybody.